not broken. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes and see who else pops in. Hello. Thanks for joining us. All right, so it is 1 o'clock. We've got a couple people still coming in, so we're just going to hold tight for the moment. But I will say that just going to go ahead and say for those that are here that if you have any questions along the way, Becca is in our office. It's also on, so feel free to use the chat and send over any questions that you have as we go through all of this. But thank you so much for being here. All right, we'll give it maybe like 1 more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hey, for those of you just joining us, we're just holding tight for just a little bit to see if we have a couple more stragglers to pop in, but I'm gonna get ready to start really soon and start talking about all things Africa. Thank you so much for being here today. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Liz, and I am one of the consultants here. This is hopefully, or not hopefully, this is the first of a series of webinars where we're going to be talking about all things Africa. This one is just kind of a bit of an overview to give you an idea of who we are and what we do, and a little bit about Africa. And we hope that you leave the webinar with a newfound passion for Africa. If you've never been or you have been before, we hope to be able to share some of our passion with you and help you learn the best way possible to help your clients experience it as well. As I mentioned earlier, Becca is also on. She is monitoring our chat for us. So if you do have any questions that pop up between now and the end of the webinar, please feel free to just chat those over to us and we will answer real time. And I'll leave a little time at the end too if there's additional questions. So what we're going to talk about today, you can see, is a little bit about us, who we are and what we do. And then we're going to talk about Africa, how big it is, what are the top destinations, what is a typical day on safari, who is the ideal client, and how we can help you become the best possible Africa expert there is, and all the benefits of working with us, Alluring Africa and Selling Africa. So we are a small boutique US-based tour operator in Winter Park, Florida. We also have one of our consultants over on the West Coast, so we're here to support you across the country if you need it. The owner of our company is actually born and raised in Kenya and has roots in safari that go back to starting one of the first photographic safaris. So Africa is in our blood, you could say. And beyond that, we have Sunit also founded Safari Pros, which is an organization of local US-based tour operators where we all kind of come together and share industry knowledge and tips and tricks so that we can best support our clients and our agents with all of the most important and pertinent news as it relates to Africa. So we're on top of it for you. Being in travel, I'm sure you all know, it's all about relationships, right? The relationship you have with your clients and with your partners. And that's really paramount for us. We want to make sure that the relationships that we have with our agents is strong, that we are keeping the relationships that you have with your clients and making sure that you look good by leveraging our relationships in Africa that we have been working to build for many, many years. And as a result, we are able to create meaningful experiences for your clients. We're going to know the best way to get them from A to B. We want to know what makes them tick so that we can create a really custom itinerary that is specific to the needs of your client. And as a result, we have gotten a 99% satisfaction rate. We are here to support you. Our clients come back super happy. I always say, they're guaranteed they're probably going to be talking about their trip back on the flight home. So we're here to exceed every expectation from that first introductory phone call all the way through to we want to see pictures. We want to hear about the experiences when they get back. So this is our team. We all travel regularly to Africa every year. Each of us are off on an adventure, but we try to go to different countries each year so that we are on top of the newest properties that are being built, the latest conservation efforts, the most unique experiences that we can possibly find. And because of that, we all then come together with that knowledge and collectively work together to talk about your clients' needs and creating the best itinerary for them. So we all have something very different to offer, and that works great when we're creating custom itineraries that cater to needs and dates and styles and travel preferences and all that good stuff. So this is us. All right, this may seem like a silly slide, but how big is Africa? It's pretty incredible to me when I look at this image and you can see how large the continent is and how many different other countries you can fit in there. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this specifically is that many times you may have a client who comes to you and says, I want to do this and that and this and that. And you kind of have to say, well, then you're going to spend the entire time in an airport. So being able to kind of look at the perspective and the size of the continent really goes to show you that while people say it's a once in a lifetime destination or once in a lifetime experience, there's so much that the continent has to offer. We really hope that it'll be a twice or three or sometimes 6 or 7 times experience for your clients. Really, quality over quantity, right? So what we're going to talk about next is the different regions and combining the different regions and why connectivity is important. So you kind of want to stick with one region or the other. So first, we'll start off with Southern Africa. So South Africa, or Southern Africa, is comprised of several different countries. South Africa being the one that most people think of first and foremost, but also includes Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. We've also got Mozambique and Malawi there too. And in terms of connectivity, Johannesburg is really the best place to fly into for this. So when your clients are like, oh, where do I come from? Or where do I fly into? Joburg is going to be that port city, or that main city that you're going to want to fly your clients into. Okay, so this is going to show you a quick little video of a typical day on safari. So safari is an incredible experience. You can see you've got all your creature comforts in the middle of the bush. It kind of starts with an early morning wake-up call where you get coffee and tea served to your room, bright and early. Who doesn't want that, right? You head to the common area where you enjoy a delicious lunch, and then you head out on your morning activity. It usually lasts about 3 to 4 hours. You're in a vehicle with up to 6 guests in total, so everybody gets that window seat. You head out for that first activity. You'll stop somewhere in the bush and enjoy some more coffee and tea and snacks. And depending on what you see, you'll head back to the lodge for lunchtime, where you'll get to relax a bit, enjoy a bath or take a nap, read a book. Meet again around 3-ish for high tea, where you'll get fed again. And then head out on your afternoon game drive, culminating in a beautiful sunset, sipping on a gin and tonic or your favorite beverage. And then heading back to the lodge in time for dinner, sit around the African fire, the African TV, share stories and experiences with guests, and a delicious meal before heading to bed and starting all over the next day. So that's kind of what a typical day on safari is going to look like for you. All right, so let's start with South Africa. South Africa has a lot to offer, and it's a really great first-time country for guests who maybe don't know that they want to spend 8 days on safari in a vehicle. They might get safaried out, which personally I don't think is possible, but everybody has their own thing, right? So South Africa is a great intro. You've got not only the big 5 in private conservancies, where you can do things like off-roading and game drive, night drives and walking safaris, but you also can combine it with things like Cape Town and Robben Island, Cape of Good Hope, the penguins at Boulders Beach, or for your wine lovers, a couple nights out in the winelands tasting some of the best South African wines. There's also the historical elements with Joburg and Nelson Mandela, and it's a combination of an urban experience, but also an incredible wildlife experience. Bit about South Africa. Also important to note, it combines well with Victoria Falls too, if that's an interest for your clients. Next, we'll talk about Botswana. Botswana is so completely diverse and different than what you'll see in South Africa, punctuated a bit by the water activities that are available. So you'll see in the image that canoe right there is called a mokoro, and it's a traditional dugout canoe where you can glide through the Okavango Delta and get to experience the bush from a different level, seeing different animals, seeing different experiences, even the tiny little reed frogs to the Sitatunga racing across the plains, the floodplains. What's also really unique about Botswana, and they have this in other countries as well, but I want to point out the photographic hide. So clients come and they're like, all right, I'm going to Africa, I got to take these amazing photos. So they buy a really expensive camera, but they might not necessarily know how to use it. They have, many camps have these photographic hides now, which are buried containers, storage containers that are really well equipped, where you can take photos of the animals at eye level, and the guides and the staff are all trained to kind of work with your guests, teach them about their new fancy camera, or for your avid photographer, this is just a really cool way to see animals from a different perspective. Botswana is also known to have fantastic horseback riding safaris, where you will wake up in the morning and head out on your horses and arrive at a camp that's been completely set up for you, which is really unique. I want to mention that Botswana is considered to be probably the most expensive out of the safari destinations. Properties can range quite high. It's got a very exclusive feeling to it, and there are charter flights that you need to take, so like small little bush planes that you take from location to location. Next, we're going to chat about Namibia. So you can see by the images, Namibia is just stunning landscapes, truly a beautiful, beautiful country, very, very spread out, not overly populated at all. And it's really well known for those landscapes and for those types of for cultural experiences, incredible stargazing out there, really cool activities like ATVing, you know, through the sand dunes, that kind of thing. Not as much driven of a safari destination for like wildlife. There are desert adapted wildlife, but for your client who maybe has never been to Africa and is really after seeing lots of game, I would suggest Namibia as maybe like their second trip. Okay, so off to Zambia and Zimbabwe. This is what people know as where Victoria Falls is located. Vic Falls straddles the two countries, or borders the two countries, so you can experience the falls from either side, and you can see there's some really cool activities here. Helicopter flights over the falls, swimming in Devil's Pool, which is super awesome experience for your more adventurous people. But beyond Victoria Falls, Zambia and Zimbabwe have some fantastic safari experiences as well. Really unique landscapes and mountains, and the Zambezi River flowing through part of it. Zimbabwe is known to have some of the best guides, and Zambia is like the walking safari capital. So really fantastic and unique safari experiences in these two countries as well. And easy to pop Vic Falls in there too for your client that really wants to see those. All right, so moving past Southern Africa, we're going to head up into East Africa, which is comprised of Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda and Uganda, and we'll kind of group them together, and you'll see why in the next couple of slides. The gateway cities here are Nairobi and Addis. There's actually a direct flight out of JFK to Nairobi, which is pretty convenient. Kenya Airways just started doing that recently. Ethiopia is also there, not as much of a safari destination, but still a really fantastic and unique cultural experience for clients who want to visit Ethiopia. And this is a video of what it's like to safari in East Africa. You can see it's definitely a different terrain and experience, but it's typically more classic tented camps. You will spend a bit more time. You can either fly, but it's also really popular to do overland safaris where you're driving from camp to camp or from park to park. More national parks in East Africa where you will see that they have a little bit more in terms of limitations, that you can't like go off-roading and that sort of thing, but there are private conservancies as well. Kenya and Tanzania is that iconic great wildebeest, Lion King style wildebeest crossing type experience. The wildebeest migration actually runs year round. So if you have a client who's interested in seeing that, we are happy to help you explain to them when the best time to go based on what they're wanting to see is. But wildebeest migration, dramatic experience when they cross the river. Lots of cultural experiences. The local Maasai people, you'll find a lot of them are working as staff in the camps or might be your guides. There's also fantastic game viewing, and it's very unique. Safari, I kind of say that it's like safari driven with a thread of culture throughout it. So that's Kenya and Tanzania. Next, we've got Rwanda and Uganda. So you may have seen quite a bit about these countries, specifically Rwanda, in the news lately with Ellen and the Dian Fossey Research Foundation. This is an experience like no other. Gorilla trekking in both Uganda and Rwanda, but beyond that, you can also do chimpanzee trekking, and there's other primates as well, like Colobus and golden monkey, and it's just primate capital. I recently just did this in March, so if you have any questions about that, please let me know. But what's cool about this region too is that having just been there, I can say with confidence that you don't have to go for just 3 or 4 nights. You can easily spend 7 to 10 days in each of these countries, from history and the culture to the tea plantations. Fantastic game viewing, water experiences. You know, one confluence of the Nile River where you can take a boat ride. Fantastic for birding as well. So really fabulous countries, and can stand alone as their own destination, but they do also combine well if your client really wants to see, let's say, the migration, but also wants to tack on gorilla trekking too. All right, so we've talked about East and South Africa. Who's right for Africa? Who's the ideal client? What's the best person to, or the best client to say, hey, I just learned a lot about Africa and I think you're perfect for this? And the answer is everyone, truly. Families, multi-generational, children, honeymooners, romantic experiences, people celebrating a milestone, maybe 50th birthday or something like that. I mean, truly, Africa has something for everyone in terms of accommodation and experience. And we'll talk a bit about that now. So, family friendly. there are camps that are designed specifically to accommodate families, and they have special programs where the kids can, parents can go take a nap, get a massage, or engage, which they really love it is when the parents engage as well. But junior ranger programs where they can learn about different animal poo, or how to track an animal, or how the trees talk to each other, or how to shoot a bow and arrow. Also interacting with local people and the culture and learning about the culture. So it's really a disconnect to reconnect kind of experience. You don't necessarily see your kids on the tablets. It's fun, but it's educational, and it's really a fit for the whole family. And you can see in the next slide that they have some of the properties there that are available are examples like the family bush homes. And essentially you go and you have everything you could possibly need for the family. It's like a home away from home, but just in the middle of the bush. You've got private chefs and private vehicles and staff there to play with the children and engage in the children. You can bring in somebody to do a massage for you, or take you out on a helicopter ride for a private picnic or bike riding. I mean, really, honestly, the list goes on and on. But what's great about these properties is they're completely self-contained. So it's fantastic for families who just kind of want to spend a week together and hang out. These properties are perfect for that. And then let's talk about romance. I mean, these pictures just seem so exclusive and so romantic to me, right? You've got massages and beautiful pools, and the image over on the left is actually a star bed, which is a really, really unique experience. The guests go and they have this beautiful dinner that's been prepared for them, and then they get to sleep under the stars and wake up in the morning to the sounds of the bush, and it's just very romantic. And what's fantastic about this too is that as long as you let us know and you communicate with us what's going on with your client, what they're experiencing, we'll be sure to add special touches like a romantic dinner in the middle of the bush with lantern lights surrounding them, or rose petals in the room, or a drawn bath for them. So this is truly, honestly, a very romantic place, and can be really also great to combine for like the beach. You've got your client who wants to go, they want to have an adventure honeymoon, but then they want to go put their toes in the sand. We can help you with that as well. Here's an example of some romantic properties. I mean, who wouldn't want to sit in that bathtub and watch the sunset, right? So it's the image over on the right is the Nest, which is a really unique style property. And what's cool about the camps is a lot of them will have maybe 6 standard tents, if you will, and by standard they're like proper rooms with flushing toilets and all of that. But they'll also have like a honeymoon suite, which is probably located a little bit farther away from the rest of the guests. So it's a little bit more exclusive and might have something like an outdoor bathtub or something like that. So again, it's really important you communicate to us what your client is doing so that we can be sure to request those things for them. All right, so now on to your adventure clients, those that want to go hiking or diving or bungee jump off Big Falls. There are plenty of adventure activities. This hiking images I think is kind of cool because you can actually go out on your hike, and then you will walk to your next property, which has just been set up for you, which is awesome. I just saw some questions coming through about optimal amount of time and best season. So I'm going to hit the Q&A. There's like a short little slide at the end that's kind of just wraps up a couple of things. So I'll definitely be sure to answer those for you. And dietary requirements, I mean, we can cater to kosher, we can cater to vegan. They will absolutely be sure to make sure that your clients are happy with and able to eat what they want to eat. All right, let me get back because I'm clicking on too many screens, guys. All right, here we go. So adventure people, your adventure client, let's say, here's an example of, I mean, I don't know, would you call that rustic? It seems pretty fancy to me in that you've got everything you need, right? You've got a bed, you've got a flushing toilet, you've got a proper shower, you've got your own room with this beautiful deck where you can sit and drink your coffee. But what's unique about these properties, and you'll find them mostly in East Africa, is that they've got that classic tented vibe. So the walls are made of canvas, but it's not tent camping by any means, as you can see. So what I would, it just depends on the type of client that wants this type of experience, because you can very much hear the bush noises outside, but some people love that and find it exhilarating. So a question I just got was, I have 4 seasons types clients and they hate bugs, which totally get it. And it's perfect timing for this new slide that we have, this next slide, ultra luxury. we can do, the sky's the limit. I mean, truly, when it comes to Africa. And in terms of accommodations, it's very similar to that. Your client who wants a private charter plane, 5-star Michelin experience in dining, really high attention to detail and service, butler service, that kind of thing. There are properties that provide all of that while still giving you a fantastic game viewing experience and being in the right location. This property down here that you see in the image on the bottom is actually Basati in Rwanda. Very unique experience, very unique lodge, but as you can see, luxury for sure. So here's an example of some properties that are going to give you that ultra luxe. And it really, what's great about it is there's a variety of styles that are available. So as you can see, you've got your more traditional style, somebody who's maybe a bit more eclectic, and then you've even got like your modern contemporary vibe. You got it. I'll be sure to talk about that. Somebody asked if I could talk about security. So this kind of shows you a picture of what kind of luxury there is. And it's interesting, as we were putting this webinar together, luxury is defined in different ways by different people. So as long as we know what that luxury looks like for your client, for example, they're a Four Seasons type client, then we can be sure to recommend the right property for them. So just reiterating, the more we know, the better we can plan and help you look like a rock star. Okay. So here's a couple other things that you can do in Africa. Really, again, Africa's for everyone. Even someone who just wants a wellness retreat or headed out on solo travel or is super interested in history. Or after golf, even there's some fantastic golf courses. So really, we can assist and help with any type of interest. Even insofar as if you've got clients who maybe have some mobility issues or dietary restrictions like we talked about, we can make sure that it is a comfortable and exceptional experience for anyone. And this next slide is very near and dear to our hearts and our ethos here at Alluring Africa. Africa is incredible and the wildlife is incredible, but the most important thing is that we continue to preserve it and conserve it for future generations. And it's really important to us that we are helping connect our clients with sustainable tourism, right? So learning about how your impact is helping. Yes, you spent X amount of dollars on this trip, but did you know that a portion of that actually went to conservation efforts? And here, let me show you what those are. You can go and learn about the anti-poaching units. You can notch a rhino or collar a lion. So if you do find that you have clients who are really into that and want to know more, visit the orphanage, adopt an elephant, whatever that might be, every single camp that we work with has some sort of initiative, either in conservation and also in the local community. So beyond the animals, we're also helping the local community and talking about human-wildlife conflict and how to educate the locals that they don't need to kill the lions and here's what you can do instead, or helping with education and employing them. So, I mean, I could talk about this for hours. We're very passionate about it. So if you have any other questions about that or want to know more, please reach out. And if your client is the type of client who would really get passionate about that as well, please let us know so that we can connect you. All right, so a bit about the types of itineraries. As you can see here, and as I've mentioned, we specialize in custom FIT itineraries that are handcrafted and curated based around your client's needs and interests. And they're highly customizable. The client comes back and says, not feeling Camp 1, I really want to go to something different. We can shift and adjust until it's perfect. And it's everything soup to nuts. So we've got somebody with a signboard to help you get through customs and immigration and all the way until you get back. Final documents that are sent to them with emergency contact details, all that good stuff. There are companies that do scheduled group departures, and we do have access to some of them, and those are at a lower price point. So maybe for your more budget conscious client, that might be a good fit. But you can see very clearly in the images here that there's a distinct difference between the experience that you're going to get and why it's worth it to get them just a little bit more so that they can have that intimate experience where there's 6 guests per vehicle and the lodge is in the right spot. When you start looking at those scheduled group departures, you're looking at bigger camps, lots of rooms, 10 people in a vehicle, and high traffic areas where there's lots of vehicles, so it doesn't feel as intimate or as exclusive. We can do both, but we're here to support you, help convincing your clients to upgrade a little bit or save a little bit more. All right, so odds and ends. We talk about the best seasons and all that good stuff. Africa is really, really gotten popular lately, and we're seeing an increase in interest. So because the properties that we generally tend to book into, and actually let me say that we're not going to book only into one property or only into one collection. We really work with everybody as long as they're committed to conservation and sustainable tourism. So we're happy to put them in the right spot for the right client. But those properties typically have 6 to 12 tents, and most people stay 3 to 4 nights at each property, right? So the longer the booking window, the better. We have clients who are booked all the way out into 2023. So just know that if they've got a shorter window, we are definitely going to do our best to accommodate and find space for them. But encourage your clients to, what's your 5-year plan? Is Africa on the list? That kind of thing. Time to go varies really by region, but typically we say late May to September-ish. Truthfully, it really just depends on what they want to see and what their priority is. If they're after the migration, we're going to say August, September, October. If they want to see the Vic Falls at its peak, we're going to say May, So if they're interested in babies and wildflowers and are okay with it being a little bit warm, then February is a good time. Kind of stay away from the rainy, March, April. And a lot of camps may close down during that time, but really any time of year is a good time, staying away from March and April. Optimal amount of time to go on safari. So that really depends on, I feel like I've said this a lot, depends on the client. But basically, I would say no less than 3 nights at one particular location is ideal, because it's going to give the clients a chance to kind of tuck in and really experience where they are. Maybe they were tracking lions the night before but didn't see them. They wake up the next morning to go find them, but they wouldn't get to do that if they were leaving. So 3 nights is really what we say. So with that being said, you've got a minimum of 3 nights, right? So 3 to 6 nights, maybe 2 different locations total. And then depending on what they want to add on, if it's Vic Falls, if it's beach, if it's Cape Town. Look, Africa is a long way to go, and it is a journey. The flights are kind of long. So I always say to clients, how much time do you have? How much time can you get? Because we can definitely give you an incredible experience. And the more time you have, the better. Anything less than a week, I think would really just be a shame, because you wouldn't get to really experience it. It would just be so fast. I hope that helps. As I was talking about seasons too, remember how I mentioned babies and wildflowers, and it's a little bit warmer in February? Well, that's a shoulder season. So peak is technically considered June until like September, depending on where you are. But February and November are magical times to go. Still really fantastic. And as you can see, guests that can get up to 30% off. I mean, it's significantly less expensive and also less busy, which is kind of nice too. Some clients enjoy that. So security. It is, you mean that security like bringing security along, or how safe is it? Because if we're talking about how safe it is, I, as a female solo traveler, have felt completely confident every time that I've gone. Look, the world has its share of things going on all over the place. And what's important for us is making sure that we're sending your clients to the right place at the right time, and that they're supported and feel safe the whole time. Like they're not going to walk to their tents alone at night. They'll be escorted by somebody at the camp staff. We have somebody there picking them up, dropping them off, guiding them throughout the entire thing. So there's that's, it's safe. It's absolutely safe. Now, no different than New York City. You don't walk down a specific street by yourself at night. I would make that same recommendation for like Nairobi, for example, but it has also fantastic things to offer, like the Elephant Orphanage, and it's absolutely worth spending some time in. So we will do a pre-departure call with your clients before they travel, with you also on the phone. We can go through that in detail together and say, okay, this is where you're going to be. This is picking you up. This is what to expect, and kind of hold their hand to make them feel safe and secure. Things go wrong on safari. Things went wrong this morning on my way to work. I spilled a drink all over my lap, and that stunk. So yeah, things can go wrong, but nothing crazy. I mean, the worst that you're going to find is that maybe there's a flight delay, or there might be like a flight delay, or maybe one of the bush planes is having an issue, and so where they're flying in another one, or a vehicle. I've been on a vehicle that got stuck once, and it was actually pretty cool because like everybody jumped out of the vehicle and all the guys were like lifting it out, and that was a cool experience. So yeah, things could definitely happen, but what's great about that is that they're prepared for it on the ground to support you. But beyond that, we are here to support you. We've got somebody on call in our office 24/7 who is available to answer questions, to support them should there be I don't know, they get sick or they're ready to go home or something's happened. Always highly recommend travel insurance, and happy to provide a quote if you need us to, for those one-off, knock on wood, hopefully never happen experiences. But we're here. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your client needs us, we are on the phone and we are solving it and we're fixing it, and they'll never feel like they don't have the support that they need. All right. So we're going to move on to why is now a good time to become an expert? So Africa is trending. I kind of mentioned it before. It is 6 of the 50 best places to go. The Lion King was fantastic. It's got really great interest, and our partners are seeing that too as well. So that's been really great. Beyond Africa being a popular destination for you, the agent, it's lucrative. You know, we wrote it out here, the commission of approximately 2 to 3 cruise bookings, if you're sticking to like ocean cruises, not necessarily river cruises, could equals the commission of 1 Africa trip. So there's a great benefit for you, the agent, to promote and sell Africa, because it's a high ticket item, and that's always a good thing. And you know, you work with clients for hopefully a long time, right? That's that relationship side of things we were talking about. So I know that I have an agent who's like, all right, my client's going here this year and there next year and there the year after, and they know where they're going, right? So encourage them to really make the time, because there's been so many times that I've heard, oh, I'll go when I'm older, or I'll go when I can, or I have to save up or whatever. So just encourage them that there's no time, no day but today, and that it's absolutely, don't take 4 Caribbean cruises, take 1, and then go to Africa, that kind of thing. So, and as far as pricing goes, as I mentioned in previous slides, you know, the scheduled group departures versus the FIT, it has something for everyone, but at various price points. So and I'm happy to talk to you further and maybe more in detail about pricing at a later time, or if you have further questions, but we typically say, you know, $550 at a minimum per person per day, but more like the $750 per person per day mark. But what's cool about that is that all your drinks, most all drinks, meals, and activities are included while on safari. So there's no really like additional cost other than tips, which are at the client's discretion anyways. So it's kind of it's an all-inclusive thing. There's no hidden fees that pop up or anything like that. Questions? 2 adults and 2 kids that want to explore Africa but stay at the Passoaf city within it. Yeah, I'm sure we can make that happen. Sandra, why don't you, I'm going to pop over a slide in a bit with my contact details. Give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can talk about that a bit more in detail and see if that's something that we can help out with. Net and gross and break down a full. Okay, so we quote gross and build in a 10% commission for you. Happy to provide a net rate if you'd like. And we don't do breakdowns because we work on confidential rates with our partners, and so we're not able to break it down, but we can at least say to you that peak season, this property costs this much. The thing that's important to note is that beyond that price that you might see online, properties will charge like conservation fees and community levies. That's where that your contributing part comes in. So there are times when, and we can show your client, like, this is how much this is worth. So up to you. If you want net or gross, we are happy to provide that. We do include air on, especially intra-Africa air. We'll absolutely include that for you, especially because it can get a little complicated, especially when you're in East Africa and you're having to book like charter flights and that sort of thing. So your packages will be inclusive of everything once they land on the ground in Africa. I can book international airfare, but we don't ticket in-house. So if you already work with an air consolidator, I recommend you go ahead and do that. I'm happy, or we are happy to say, you need to be in JRO on this date. Like we'll tell you what the best schedule is. If you don't already have an air consolidator and you just want us to handle it, happy to do so. But we don't pay commission on air because it's all published pricing. So. Typical price range for each area. Each area of Africa in general, or like Eastern versus Southern. I mean, it can vary. It depends on what time of year you're traveling, how much safari there is, and which country they're going to. But I think I might have a bit answered that with the, it's good to say $750 per person per day. And if it needs to be less, we can. A good like lower budget solid itinerary would be like $5,000 per person, not including international airfare. But what's also, I think, really important is we don't want to dilute the experience just to bring the cost down. So if you've got a client who says like, hey, I want to go to Africa for 2 weeks and I've only got $7 grand, I'm going to come back and say, how about we slim that down to 10 days? And here's the reasons why. Because it's really, I would rather the client have an exceptional experience than try and dilute and spread themselves too thin in terms of budget. So I hope that makes sense and helps. Okay. So we talked about food. This is, okay, so it's great. We're in. I love all the questions. Thank you guys for engaging. It's awesome to see the questions coming through, so I appreciate that. All right, so what we're gonna do for you as we wrap up this itinerary, getting close, there's going to be an email that you'll get coming through tomorrow that's going to have sample itineraries for you in it, already prepared. That's going to give you a really good example of like, here's good for a family, and this is good for a couple, and this, whatever it might be. So that's going to be coming to you. We'll also send you a link to our agent portal. So the goal of this first webinar that we've done with you guys is to give you a taste of getting excited about Africa. And now we're going to have this portal available that's going to have links to webinars that we'll continue to do, supplemental information that can help you sell it, images, you know, whatever you could possibly need so that you are fully equipped to sound like an expert to your clients. And we're here to support you in the background. We can also white label digital itineraries for you. And we do have a fam trip that we're looking to put together coming up for 2020. So stay tuned for that information as it comes through. We really want to put something amazing together for our agents who are interested in selling Africa more. This next slide is an example of what a white labeled itinerary would look like. So as you can see, we do everything, all of our itineraries are done online in this fantastic software that we have. So we'll send your clients a link and you can see circled, send us your logo and you send us your contact details and we will white label that for you so that you can just send it right out and your client can respond to you. These itineraries are super cool because it has all sorts of jam-packed information from what are the visa requirements like, or what kind of converter do I need, but all the way down to a map and that you can zoom in and out and see where you're going from A to B to C to D, and at 9 a.m. you're picked up by this person and going to this place. So these itineraries are chock full of really great information, and our clients have really found to love them. And then when your client does book, we'll send a version of this itinerary as well as a printed final document if they would like, where they can download an app on their phone and access it offline, and it has all of the information related to their trip, including emergency contact details, flight details, all of that. So clients really, the more tech savvy clients really love having that offline app on their phone. And like I said, we can do printed books too, if they prefer. So I think that answers the interactive questions or interactive itineraries. First time African clients, Very Adventure Active 5-star. Oh, I like it. Marianne, that sounds like a lot of fun. I would say, I mean, lots of questions, right? Like what time of year are they planning on traveling? Maybe it might be good for you and I to hop on a call so that we can talk about them a bit. I lean towards, well, I think we should talk. So if I'll write your name down and shoot you over an email, and we can connect so that we can kind of come up with some ideas for this for this client. But really, honestly, either Eastern or Southern could work. I think it just depends on what the priorities are for them. Cape Town is important, Vic Falls, that kind of thing. 18 to 28, and if they're super adventurous, I say go gorilla trekking. It is amazing, life changing. August, okay, yeah. I mean, if you think gorilla trekking could work, I think it's a good option. Oh, the name of the app is it's called Wet'Tio. So that is what we use, and it have their own app that you can access offline. So how do we compare? That's a really great question. Those A&K, Mikado, Tauck are fabulous tour operators, and we really respect what they've done and how they have helped Africa grow. I think, you know, I could say all the things like we've got the firsthand experience and we've got the digital itineraries, and we're here to support you. But I think for us, what really sets us apart is this right here, this conversation. I don't want to just simply send you an itinerary because you say, I've got this. I want to talk to you about it. We want to learn about the clients. We want to engage with you. And it's engaging the entire time. I mean, we are here from A to Z. So I think that really gives us kind of a leg up. It's super personal, handwritten notes to you and to your clients. We're not a huge team of 50, but as a result, we have the interest and the drive and the ability to really make your client's experience really special, and also make you look like a rock star at the same time. And we're also really on the cutting edge of software and you know, our itineraries and that sort of thing. We're always trying to stay up on what's happening, and how we can constantly improve the client's experience. That's really important to us. Packages over Christmas this year might be tight, but if you've got specific details, I can let you know if we can put something together. Christmas is a really popular time to travel, and given that, can you believe it's 2 months away already? It's crazy. We might be able to put something together. It just depends on the details, but Christmas is very popular, and there's some really cool things that we can do. Right. So next slide, just to kind of give you an idea. We talked about, you know, the countries that everybody seems to know in Africa, but Africa's huge, right? So Egypt, Ethiopia, we even handle the UAE and Israel and Jordan. We have fantastic relationships there as well. Madagascar, a little lesser frequented, but really cool and cute lemurs. Some clients are really into that active side of things. Morocco is a huge one for us too. Clients, agents really find an interest in that as well. So long of the short is we cover it all. We're happy to help you with it all. I mean, I had an agent who contacted me and I sent them on a hiking trip through the mountains of Ethiopia. So we will make it happen if your client has a really unique specific request. And a lot of times you'll find that clients will like fly Emirates or something and they'll go through Dubai, and then, you know, why not go spend 2 nights there? Everybody's intrigued by it. So we can arrange that for you as well if you need. Okay, vetted small planes and little boats you use. So are you asking if we vet them? So we absolutely do. It's important to us that they have stellar safety ratings, and they're monitoring and checking the equipment on a regular basis, and they have the proper insurances, and they're supported by our local partners on the ground. So it is incredibly important to us. Safety is our #1 paramount when it comes to our clients, and your clients. We want to make sure that they are absolutely safe. Now, as far as the planes go, it's important to share the expectation with your clients that they are, you know, 6 to 12 passenger planes, but they're really cool experiences because you get to see the animals from the air and you get to interact with the pilots, and it's really cool. So some people I was one of those people. I was like, I'm never getting on a tiny plane. And then I took like 15 of them and I was like, actually, I feel better in the tiny plane than I do in the big one. So we can help assuage the fears if need be too. All right, so this is it. These are our contact details. That's my email there, my direct line, our website. As I mentioned, we got an email that'll be coming out to you in the next day or so with some really great information. For those of us that we just engaged and you had some like really specific questions, please reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call. And even then, if there's no more questions today, anybody else want to pop in any other questions? if you think of something as soon as we hang up, definitely reach out. We are, I'm really excited. This has been great. Thank you all for engaging with me and for taking the time to listen. Hopefully you're going to leave this webinar with just a little bit more excited or passionate about selling Africa, and keep an eye out for upcoming emails and such. So thank you guys so much. Oh, hey, Asha, the agent I've worked with before. You are welcome, Marie Ann. It's been a pleasure. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you figure something out for your clients. I'm sure we can pull off something cool. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I hope we talk soon.